Back here with its study, Spirit of Justice. I've done somewhat poorly in the past 2 trial episodes, but I'm sort of clawing it back, and I just need to keep rational, keep my emotions in check, and we'll figure this out. We will figure this out. I have faith. I have faith. I have faith, and I believement. I have believement, and I have faith. Unless the defense has further evidence that would indicate a different suspect. Do we have anything like that? Well, lawyer, do you have any new evidence you would care to present? Or shall I have the executioner start his preparations? She thinks I can't do this. She's got another thing coming. But first, I have some serious thinking to do. I'd say that new evidence indicating a different suspect. Again, I don't have any health here, but I'd still like to not just answer blindly. I mean, at least it's worth asking about the fingerprint. Yeah, why not? It exists. There's a fingerprint you've yet to check. Of course I have some new evidence. Do you know? How very interesting. Why doesn't she sound the least bit concerned? No, I can't let her get to me. I just have to keep pressing forward. Oh, nuts. This new evidence points to a different suspect. Let me just be very sure it's this one. But this is the only thing I can think of that, has any kind of traceable anything about anyone that we haven't tracked yet. It was my father. My father was the killer. This new evidence points to a different suspect, so it's not just another way that the killer got in or anything like that. It's legitimately that points to another person being there we have yet to identify, which to me, the only thing that covers that is the fingerprint. But I just really quickly want to have a look at everything else. No notable fingerprints we found on the gemstone. Though it's curious that it was in the soot. It's almost like someone put him over top of the incense burner to warm him back up after. These notes are highly suspect, but don't point specifically to an as yet unidentified person. I guess if you were really going out on a limb, you could argue that this visitor is a suspect, since they were there around the time, but it's not nearly as concrete as the fingerprint. Got yelled at by a dog in a warbot. I will be pretty angry if it isn't the butterfly thing, because it's a fingerprint we've yet to identify after all that was on the scene. Oh, but it's the only thing I've got. Let's do this. Take that! You would claim this evidence proves the existence of a different suspect. Wait, that wasn't the reaction I was expecting. Your Eminence, are you saying this piece of evidence doesn't do anything for you? It would appear to me that you chose that evidence at random. In the vain hope you would learn something from my reaction, is that not correct? Your Majesty. For shame! Sorry! Time to rethink that one. Oh, for out loud, it was this again! It doesn't exist! Oh! They got me with the same thing! That shit, I hate that. Sorry, okay, just had to get that out of my system. Such evidence does not exist. Just as I thought. I was so hoping you'd present meaningless evidence and allow me to claim your head. That's so motherfucking stupid, but it makes sense because, of course, if it means that that particular choice wouldn't have damaged me, I should have just tried doesn't exist anyway, because at least that wouldn't hit me. Well, I don't know that, because it could be that evidence doesn't exist, and then they would give me a drop-down that says, what else, if not evidence, tells us then, and that one could damage you. So it doesn't mean anything now. The fact that the health doesn't show up, that's just, they've just thrown out of the water in this one game, only in the latter 2 cases. Oh, that irritates me so bad. I need a minute, sorry. This is an awesome trial so far. Okay! I'm gonna be fine! No, I'm not ready yet. Why in a mystery game, when someone asks, is there any evidence of a third person there that we didn't know about, can you not put an unidentified fingerprint? If you didn't want me to know whose fingerprint it was yet, why wouldn't you just have them say, it's not time for that yet, when you pick it? Why, game? Why? If later on we find out it belongs to somebody or someone that points to the evidence of a third person there, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but it's not gonna be reasonable. I was so hoping you'd present meaningless evidence and allow me to claim your head. Thought I didn't walk headfirst into that one then. You did! We did! We presented meaningless evidence, apparently. What the f? Why doesn't the game know what happened? Is that hard to put a boolean there to check if you had already... Why are you just saying words that don't mean anything, Apollo? Okay, sorry, I'm in a state. I need to get out of a state. Exit state. Okay, I'm back to normal. So, this game just makes me so angry. Jesus Christ. Okay. So what now, Apollo? Well, unless we can prove that Nana killed Inga, this trial's over, and so are we. Isn't there still a way to get the proof we need? Even without evidence? You know, a key means of obtaining testimony here in Khura'In? Yeah, but we can't... You might remember she passed out last time. Like, I was supposed to expect she was ready now. Need another minute. It's not gone well. It's not gone well. I'm sorry. I can bring it back. I just have to focus with things as they are now. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's weird how it's like so reasonable one minute and then just flips into complete absurdity the next. Huh? Wait, are you actually suggesting? It certainly won't be easy, but it's worth a try. Your Majesty. A crucial step in uncovering the truth behind this case is yet to be taken in this trial, but I'm positive that I can back up our claim with this one step. You mean you will be able to prove that Nana killed Justice Minister Inga? And just how do you propose to do that? With help of a certain someone. You need help? From someone? Well, I can't imagine who it would be. But I suppose I must ask. I'm gonna lose health for this as well? We're saying Rafa, right? Which up do you need to uncover the truth? Hang on, just to be absolutely sure I'm right here. Phoenix said a key means of obtaining testimony here in Khura'In, right? So he's talking about the seance, not spirit channeling. Because only the Queen is allowed to spirit channeling, so that's not a key means of obtaining testimony. The Queen does not channel for run-of-the-mill court cases. So if he's going to ask me to have Khura'In channel him, I'm going to be absolutely livid, because we have no evidence anywhere that she has but testimony. Shit, now I'm all in my mind. Are we asking Khura'In or Rafa? They've been doing the seance forever, right? No one's channeled anyone for a very long time. It's taboo for anyone but the Queen to do it. So it's not a key means of obtaining testimony. So it can't be that, right? Oh, I'm gonna be so mad if it's that. But now I don't know, because I don't know anything. You would assume we're not saying Rafa, because A, that's not testimony, and B, she just tried and wasn't able. So to suddenly expect that she can do it again all of a sudden is stupid. But to expect we're supposed to say Khura'In because she can channel is dumb, because it's not a key means of obtaining testimony in Khura'In. They don't do that. It's another situation where because the obvious answer is Rafa, and the more thinky answer is Khura'In, but I never know when I'm supposed to pick the obvious answer. It's the orange a key means of obtaining testimony that's throwing me off here, because that discounts both Khura'In and Rafa. Because Rafa does seance vision, which is, you see, that's evidence, that's taken as evidence, not as testimony. Her insights are, well, I guess her insights are testimony, in a way. But Khura'In channeling would actually legitimately obtain testimony from the dead, but it's not a key means of obtaining testimony in Khura'In, because they don't do that, because only the Queen's allowed to do it. It's taboo for everyone else, and she doesn't just go around channeling random court cases, I don't think. I'm all in my head now. Khura'In. You require help from that individual? Yeah, fuck, I should have known it. They just wanted me to say Rafa again. No, what I'm saying is, let's all come together on this one. If we all think it through as a team, there's nothing we can't figure out. We don't need to put our heads together to see how far you're reaching, defense. Can't we all just get along? There's something we've yet to confirm about this case, and to do that we'll need... The defense will refrain from such tongue-wagging if he wishes to keep said tongue, now then. Well, but now, wait, now I don't understand. But that is... Me? Here in Khura'In, legal proceedings include the viewing of the victim's final moments, but that requires your benevolence's help. Such information is just as vital as any other piece of conclusive evidence. If you're right about this, Rafa's power should enable her to see the very moment Nana stabbed Inga. It'll be hard to watch your father's murder, but it's the only way to uncover the truth. Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get why all of a sudden we're gonna try that again. The whole reason we didn't do it is because she wasn't ready. So I assumed if she hadn't told us she was ready, why would we just try it again out of nowhere? And also, it's not testimony. Like, it just... Jesus Christ! Holy I must be living in a psychotic other world where words mean different things, and I was playing a different game 5 minutes ago. Your benevolence, we need you and your power. You need me. Objection! Wretched simpleton, did you not see what ensued in the previous attempt? You would only succeed in wasting more time. Or is it your goal to make her collapse again? Objection! The princess said she was prepared earlier. But... What are you talking about? She said what? What earlier? I'm not going to pretend to understand. I'm just going to say the words. Besides, it's her duty as a royal priestess. I say it's all up to her now. Am I prepared? Prepared to fulfill my duty? Isn't a divination seance required at all trials anyway? If so, I imagine there'd be a problem with handing down a verdict without one. Indeed. It would be problematic. Under Khura'In's law, a seance must be conducted before a verdict can be rendered. Such insolence! Yikes! Yeah, but she's changing the rules. That was never a thing. Must you try my patience so? If I must dispense with that vexing law, then dispense with it I shall. Huh? As ruling sovereign of Khura'In, I proclaim the following. She's writing it with her nails. Henceforth, the divination seance shall be optional. Okay. What? She has the power to do that? Okay, I could have sworn she changed like 5 laws already in this trial. Why are they surprised? She just rewrote the law with a flourish of her hand. Hold it! Mother, I do not wish for the trial to end like this. It is as the defense said, I must not neglect my duty simply because I am afraid. I shall go through with it this time. I will conduct the seance once more. Such insolence. Rafa, do not be fooled by his lawyerly guile. You are not prepared to witness your father's death. But Hornhead needs my help. Rafa, did you not tell me earlier? Did you not tell me you were prepared, but despite your grandiose posturing, you collapsed in a most piteous fashion? Even worse, you have erred in your insights of late, for has not the barbed one there overturned them more than once? You cannot be trusted to keep your word, nor can you reveal the truth through your insights. So I say to you, be gone! This sacred hall of justice has no need for such a worthless royal priestess. Worthless? Wow, how can she say that to her own daughter? So, Mother, you think me worthless? Objection! Objection! Her benevolence says she can do it, doesn't she? So I don't see why you have to condemn her before she's even made the attempt. Very well, horned devil. If you really are so bent on having a seance, I shall give my consent. Really? However, should Rafa fail once more, you two and the accused shall all be executed on the spot. I mean, you just say that every sentence. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It hasn't happened once. Come again? This is proving to be far more entertaining than I had anticipated. Well, lawyer, what say you? Will you wager your life and call on Rafa to perform a divination seance? Come on! I'm not gonna give up now. I don't think you're worthless, your benevolence. Far from it, in fact. If you say you can do it, then I believe in you. I don't remember her coming back and saying, I'm ready now. She came back because she was called upon to testify. She didn't come back and ever say she was ready after passing out. You know what I mean? Like, they're acting like she came back and said, okay, I think I'm actually ready this time. And that didn't happen. If they're talking about the first time she said it, then they should be phrasing it so differently. Like, okay. Calm down. If you say you can do it, then I believe in you. Hornhead! I do not understand. If I fail, you'll be put to death. Yeah, but the fingerprint doesn't work, so... I know you collapsed during your previous attempt. I can't even imagine how terrible it must have been for you. But despite that, you're willing to try again. I have faith in that conviction, in that... When did she say that? She says it here. Only after I was supposed to say the thing. Never mind. I have faith in that conviction, in that courage. My courage? So she was doomed to fail if she didn't have the courage to perform the seance. But it looks like she's got the determination to try again. Right. And that's a bet I'm willing to take. But it is as Mother said, I've erred in my insights as of late. Not only have I failed to reveal the truth, I've also contributed to false accusations. Sorry, I don't mean to keep just messing with the pacing of this, but I thought after after the last time we had this conversation, because we've had this conversation before, Phoenix said, you're looking at it the wrong way. It wasn't a failure on your part because you made some insights that were wrong. The point is that your insights are valuable, but we need people to question them to root out what parts of them are less complete. And I thought she started to gain confidence back after that. So to have this whole scene that's happening right now is like pretending that whole trial never happened is how it feels. And I just don't understand. Knowing that, can you still say that you believe in me? Objection! I wouldn't take stock in those words, your benevolence. Despite what your mother says, I don't think you've made any errors at all. Huh? In the trials I've been a part of here in Khura'In, I would have never proven my client's innocence without your seances. Because even though they didn't always reflect the absolute truth, the insight they provided served as vital leads to finding the truth. Vital leads? My seances? Like Phoenix said those words exactly almost in the last time, right? So please, your benevolence, try to perform the divination seance one more time. Objection! Rafa, stop this madness. It is for your own good. You are ill-prepared to face your father's death. Go! Leave this sacred hall at once! No. What did you say? I said no, Mother! For I am the royal priestess of Khura'In. I have no need for you. I have no need for you now, even if you do not need me, Mother. Hornhead is this hall of justice due. He proved that to me by risking his own life. It is because of him that I now understand. The divination seance is my sacred duty. I must fulfill it no matter the risk. Your benevolence. Mother taught me that the divination seance was a mirror reflecting naught but the truth. But I began to have my doubts after Barbed had disproved the insights it offered. And now, I don't even know who or what to trust anymore. Father, Mother, even Naina. I had believed in them above all others. But I finally know now. I know in what I can trust. Your own strengths. The royal priestess must debate each seance with the presiding lawyer and prosecutor. So that it can be interpreted properly. That is how I believe trials here in Khura'In should function. Therefore, the Hall of Justice needs me. It is my power that leads trials onward to the truth. That is my sacred duty, and I will never shirk from it again. That right there, your benevolence, is the product of what you've learned in your struggles so far. The truth that you realize with your own strength. It's my sacred duty. I must ensure that it is fulfilled. I must have the courage and resolve to see it through. Your Eminence, the Royal Priestess says she will conduct the divination seance. I see no grounds for you to forbid it. Unless, of course, you're worried that it might reveal something you find inconvenient. Mother! I'm done letting you have your way! Rafa, you would actually rebel against me, your mother, and Queen, though I am scared to see my father's death. I must face my fear. That is what Hornhead has taught me here today. Rafa.
I am the Royal Priestess Rafa Padma Khura'In.
And she took off the robe herself,
and
too.
I am prepared to face my father's death.
Bravissimo! Good, good. Happy to hear. Your Eminence. It seems the princess has more grown up than he thought. Rafa. Well then, let us proceed with the divination seance. The victim's final moments. This should be interesting. Deja vu. I wonder what Inga's memories are going to show us.
O Holy Mother, we hold this divination seance in your name. Let the eyes of everyone here be clear, and our ears be unstopped. O dance of devotion, guide the victim's soul to me, so that we may receive their final memories in the pool of souls.
We know you can do it this time. But I now presume that nothing different is going to be in this cutscene. But I'll let it play it anyway. If it's going to be the last time. Time to see. And now observe as I do the same thing I did with the stupid goddamn lamp, and I get the right solve, but I just don't have the camera in, like, I have it an inch off of where it's supposed to be. So taste of grape, sour, incense. I smell incense. Looking up at the Holy Mother thing. His own footsteps, we presume. Makatama up there, I don't remember hearing. Man's voice. Footsteps. We're about to see pain. Footsteps. So the incense is the funny thing, of course, and there's, well, the face is all blurry, but... Oh, I see, okay. So... Explosion. Laughter. Oh, well, that's horrifying. Okay, so I'm getting what's going on now. We can't see the face clearly. The thing that's unusual, What that probably means for us is that this is someone using these disguise notes to appear to be Dirk. To fool us all in the divination seance. In theory. But let's hear her insights. What in the... A faceless being. What the heck? His face, it's just like... that picture of the founder. Is there just gonna be some faceless person? I think that's the last thing anyone expected to see. Oh, I wasn't sure if that was literally what happened, or if that was just their way of hinting us towards the fact that it was a disguise being used. Father, what was it? What was it you saw? Are we to understand that this was the last thing the victim saw? Yes, there can be no mistake. That was what my father himself witnessed. How very strange. You don't suppose the Holy Mother possessed the accused and slew Minister Inga for planning a coup? The divine wrath of the Holy Mother. Oh, Holy Mother, we are ever grateful for your blessings. Nice job stabbing that dude. Talk about a short left turn into the Twilight Zone. You know, there's one thing in there that caught my attention. Was there indeed? The laughter? Yeah, that was pretty weird, wasn't it? That laugh. Who does it belong to, and why are they laughing? Who knows, though I suppose it could be Dirk after he slew my husband. Oh, so it was you then. Why else would you be so quick to be who knows about it? Uh-huh. But that figure didn't even have a mouth. I think we're done here, lawyer. How so? You claim that Minister Inga was stabbed in his private quarters and, feeling no pain, went to the tomb where he eventually fell dead. Yeah, we didn't have the seance before. Now we do, and it's different. But this seance vision proves he was stabbed in the tomb and felt great pain, no less. Oh, that. Therefore, as I asserted all along, it was the accused who stabbed the minister in the tomb. Everything just backfired big time. Wow. Ron has the devil's own luck, doesn't she? Not till we've heard her insights. Now then, I shall give voice to the soul of the deceased. Listen well and heed these words. Rafa's insight. Let's hear it. It better not be shenanigans. It's Rafa's insight. At around 3 p.m., my father was waiting in the tomb to make the hostage exchange. He was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. He had been waiting vigilantly, when suddenly he heard Dirk's voice. The next moment, he was stabbed in the back and collapsed. My father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed, and the attacker let out a laugh. So the real issue with this is, if he was facing that way, how did the bullet end up in the statue over there? So what now, Mr. Wright? It's up to us to knock holes in Rafa's interpretations of Inga's memories. In other words, we need to prove that her understanding of them could be mistaken. Okay, I'll give it a try. It is a bit weird that we say grapes and then sour. You would think that would be the same flavor, right? Footsteps. Man's voice. Alright, now I think this is just the game being a video game, but, I would say he didn't suddenly hear Dirk's voice, because if you look at it, here's the man's voice. Let's count in the seconds, shall we? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds before he's stabbed. I don't think you can describe that as suddenly, but I think it's just being a video game. You would have expected he would turn around to see the person he was going to negotiate with. Yeah, no, I'm totally dead here, because I see like 6 things wrong with this, and none of them seem more wrong than the others, so it's over. 9 seconds after is not what I would call a sudden suddenly. You would think he would turn around at that point. We don't actually see that he shot his attacker and missed. All we see here is an explosion, and we don't know that it's the attacker who laughed. And we don't even know that this person standing in front is the attacker. So everything it says is wrong to me. I don't see one glaring contradiction, so... well, I guess we don't know that he missed. Yeah, we don't know that he missed. How would we know? But do I say that with the visuals, or do I say that with the audio? No, sorry, let me not jump into it, because that has been my undoing a lot in this case, and every other, seance vision, for sure. My apologies if I seem a little fed up with this. There's a reason for that. It's that I'm feeling fed up right now, but I will try not to belabor the point. I'll try and just keep focused and do it. Going through the insights one by one. Around 3 p.m., my father was waiting in the tomb to make the hostage exchange. That sounds right to me. If you're saying this is your father's last moments, and we don't have a clock anywhere, that would indicate otherwise. I don't see how we could disprove that. It is a little funny that we smell incense, but the incense burners are not seemingly burning or releasing smoke or anything. Just looking for anything around here that would indicate that it is not 3 p.m. or that somehow this line is wrong. Nothing comes to mind. Next is he was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. But yeah, I'm almost definitely not making it out of this one. Because I see several things wrong with it, and I couldn't guess which one is the most wrong, so to speak. Again, he was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother seems a little... not quite right, because he doesn't take that with him, does he? I don't think they're going to get the grape juice is what's on Dirk's body here, because of course the police would know that to not be true, having apprehended him. Oh, it was the Grand Royal Guard who apprehended him. I suppose they could just be lying about that. But it's red anyway, clearly, and not the purple that grape juice was, so... if it is that this is meant to be the grape juice, then that's patently wrong. So I doubt it would be that. Yeah, it's a completely different color. Not to mention... much less opaque. Yeah, again, I also disagree with the characterization that he's drinking grape juice while looking at a picture of the Holy Mother. He's drinking grape juice and then sets it down and only then turns to the Holy Mother. So while gazing, I mean, that's incorrect, but I cannot tell if that's it being a video game or if that's the contradiction I meant to find. We could also contradict and say it just says man's voice, it doesn't say Dirk's voice. Couldn't say. So of course it's not the next moment, it's 9 seconds after, which no one would describe as the next moment, I think. So that's another, like, the 8th contradiction I found. My father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed and the attacker let it laugh. I think that's probably the most wrong, because we have no way to know that he missed when his eyes were closed. So that's what I'm gonna try. But I don't feel confident. We have no way to know that he missed, I would say, and I would say that's a matter of sight. Objection! Okay, just give me 2 seconds here. That'll do. So I thought for this world we'd just carry on and see how quickly we could get diamonds, so I'm gonna begin by getting a tree here and start making some tools, and then just head down. Oh, look at your cute widow doggy! Hey, diamonds, look at that! Oh, that didn't take too long. What was that, only like 10 minutes? Sweet. The thing is, I don't have any iron yet. I've got 2. I need 1 more if I actually want to mine the damn stuff. And iron shows up at this height as well, I'm pretty sure. Nevertheless, I just need... well, if I'm right about that, I just need to keep wandering around this area until such a time as I find it. More diamonds, good. Right beside these ones. Still no iron. I'm sorry, I know this is a ridiculous thing to cry about, but damn, I do apologize from the bottom of my heart that I'm having a shitty time with this game. Not this one. The one we're actually supposed to be playing right now. I'm trying my best to enjoy it, I promise I am. I'm not trying to be contrarian or like... mess this up for anyone. I just suck so hard at understanding what this game means. So I'm really sorry if you were looking forward to this and I've completely killed it all by just being the worst. Anyway, I'll get back in there as soon as I get these diamonds. And it's not even that I think this game is absolutely terrible and beyond redemption or anything like that. I don't want anyone to be under the impression that I think this is a really bad game that I think is really bad. It's just these little things that are incongruous with my mindset here and there that are bringing it down for me, but I don't want that to... Gold is unhelpful! Wait, unless, can you do diamonds with gold? We can't do gold with stone, so never mind. Anyway, you don't want to hear me ramble, so I'll keep the rest of that chambered monologue to myself. Oh, buddy, finally. It took like 4 times longer to find any iron than it did to find diamonds. Very good, we can get these diamonds now. Sorry, I just had to tap out of Ace Attorney for a minute. Just wasn't prepared for any more of that. And look at us go. How many diamonds is that? 4 altogether? Oh, what an exciting time to be alive, really. Good. So we know already that I'm not going to win succeed against this divination seance portion, but I can at least say I tried as hard as my mental faculties allow, and I'll make a little list of all the contradictions I see and which ones I think it's most likely to be. And we can just go through them one by one and see how many lives it takes for me to be right. Oh no. I uninstalled it for the bit and now it won't stop crashing upon reopening it. Ready? Ready? Check this out. Check this out. Paul Justice, Japanese text, crash. No, I've messed it up. Hang on, maybe if I stop recording? Will it work now? Yeah, now the game just won't run at all. Okay, shoot. There is a 145 megabyte file here called crashreport.exe. Maybe it will help. It does not appear to do anything. Right, let me power cycle my machine. See you on the other side. Yeah, it's totally borked now. I don't know what I did. Even when the game isn't running, it's kicking my teeth in. Damn. Well, I guess that ends this recording. I'll come back to it another day when I figure out what's wrong with it.
The next day.
Alright, I'm back the next day. This game has left me a disheveled, broken man. My heart is in 1,000 million pieces, but we're just gonna carry on because everything is pain. Anyway, so what I've got before us here is a spreadsheet, because I'm going to die, but I'll be damned if I'm going to die without trying to look like I have half a brain. And at least, showing my work, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and explaining my process so that when I die like an idiot, we all at least understand, have some understanding of why. So we have 5 insights from Rafa, which I will now fill in. Mercifully, the problem yesterday turned out it was just a borked reinstall. Steam messed it up somehow. I had to reinstall it like 3 times before it worked for some reason, but that's not so bad as I thought it was going to be a much harder problem to solve than that. Anyway, so I have the 5 bits of insight, and then we have a roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 sensations, equating to about roughly 70 combinations thereof. So let's just go through them all, and I'll rank them between... Seems fair as a contradiction, 50-50, I don't know whether it's anything. Seems unlikely. Or it's gotta be impossible. At around 3 p.m., my father was waiting in the tomb to make the hostage exchange. I don't really honestly see how any of those could disprove this. I don't see how any of these sites that we're seeing here could prove the time, to prove it wasn't 3 p.m., as we had earlier imagined. We don't look over to see Maya Fey, so it's not as though we could say, well, he wasn't waiting to make the hostage exchange because the hostage isn't there. I just don't seem to have any reason to believe that any of this statement is incorrect. I just do not see a single thing that would prove that. I don't believe we have any evidence that mentions that something should look a certain way or sound a certain way at a certain time, save for maybe this photograph taken around 2 p.m., but I don't see how it pertains to this. I don't see any information about Khura'In, or the doors, or this foreign individual, or her outfit, or the lights behind her that would indicate something from the tomb. Ditto for the statement about the courtyard. I don't see how any of that impacts what happened in the tomb. So I think I can be pretty confident it's not this line at all. He was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. So the grape sensation doesn't disprove that. In fact, it supports it, so it won't be that. The sour sensation, I mean, I guess it's debatable whether the flavor of grape juice is sour exactly. Depends somewhat on your palate, but I would say a sour grape juice isn't terribly rare. I tend to think of redder grapes as being more sweet, but, you know, like white wines are the ones that are really punchy in the tongue. I think it's very, very flimsy to say that the sour means it's not grape juice, like we can cancel that out somehow. The incense does not say anything about that. He sets the grape juice down clearly and it deliberately zooms in on him setting it down before he looks at the Holy Mother. So I would say, bam, let's go of it, and is looking at the Holy Mother. There's no way in hell you could say he was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. That's a contradiction to me, but I assume they're just doing that to have, so that they don't have to write a sixth line for it and make it more confusing. Nevertheless, I'll take that back and I'll call this one a 50-50. I cannot say myself whether that's a contradiction my characters are meant to notice, like if it's a diegetic contradiction, or if they just didn't feel like writing an extra line for it, or, you know, like it was easier to say what they meant in Japanese and in the English only. He was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother is only because they only had so much room to write with, you know what I mean? It is blatantly a contradiction, but in the game world, is it one? I have no way of knowing without trying it. But, and likewise, the site contradiction could go here or here, because each one shows the half that is wrong there. If we're looking here, we don't see the taste of grape anymore, right? So clearly he's already had his drink. He's not drinking it while looking at the picture of the Holy Mother. That's untrue. But again, 50-50, I think, and I'm erring toward more like 60-40 in favor against. I don't think that's what they're trying to have us get at, because, well, anyway. And basically everything past that can't be it, because we're referring to an earlier point in time. So I assume the grape is a smell of grape, and then the taste is sour. Because he wouldn't say, I smell sour. He'd say, I smell grape. Once again, Man's voice and Dirk's voice, we don't know that they are the same, obviously. But I believe that's just a weirdness of the seance, just meant to keep mysteries alive longer. And I believe it does that in every case. Even if the person definitely knows whose voice it is, it just will say man's voice, boy's voice, whatever. Like in Temple, we had the monk guy whose name I forget, but who was the victim, Paw Patrol. Knew Ulby and even had a conversation with him at the time, but it still just read his boy's voice, right? So I think we can presume that the man's voice does not contradict he heard Dirk's voice, because it could well be. We just don't have that kind of specificity. To say he suddenly heard Dirk's voice when he heard it and then kept walking is a little weird, but I don't think there's anything I can, like, what am I going to point to there? So that won't be it. Could you say that someone who was drinking grape juice wasn't being vigilant? I guess. But that's a matter of a descriptor of character, and this is his daughter we're talking about, so I don't imagine it's that, nor the portrait, nor the sight of any of these sites, I don't think, contradict he'd been waiting vigilantly when he suddenly heard Dirk's voice. The next moment, he was stabbed in the back and collapsed. Okay, so I was saying earlier, and I do think this is true, that 9 seconds later is hardly the next moment, but I suppose that's debatable. I would think if you were really so anxious about this important meeting, and then you heard the person's voice behind you, you wouldn't just keep... And this is someone you supposed to be a dangerous criminal whose life you had threatened numerous times. You wouldn't keep your back turned to them at that point, but that does not... So that suggests odd behavior is afoot. But does it specifically disprove the next moment he was stabbed in the back and collapsed? I guess not. So the grape juice, the portrait, and the walking don't disprove that, I don't think. I don't think looking at the floor disproves that. I would say he did get stabbed in the back and then collapse. That seems right from what we see. Now this last one, this is the one that I think has the problem in it. So my father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed, and the attacker let out a laugh. Okay, so grape, sour, incense, footsteps, man's voice, pain. Those we can safely rule out. Explosion. Now, you would think if the issue was that because he closes his eyes, we don't actually know if it's him shooting his gun. I think, because again, explosion is not, we're not saying an explosion occurred like a bomb went off. That's a descriptor of the noise in the same way that man's voice is. We're saying that's more or less what a gunshot sounds like, an explosion. Bang, right? So it's not like I can say, well, it wasn't a gunshot, it was an explosion, because That's just describing what the sound is like. But, and the other thing is, the first thing I tried was to say, my father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed. Well, we're looking at a black screen here. How do we know if he missed? We couldn't possibly. And furthermore, to assume he missed here is basically to say that from where he was facing the portrait, as soon as he closed his eyes, he turned 120 degrees and shot the statue over there, because that's where we found the bullet, which is obviously ridiculous and didn't happen. I think we can agree, but I tried it and it didn't work. And as far as I'm concerned, the sound proves the same thing there, so I thought that seemed fair to pick, which is why I did. But since we tried it, unless we're in another situation like the lamp where I was supposed to wait like a second more before hitting it, like here, but I highly doubt that. So if saying we don't know what the explosion sound was because we can't see a gun being fired, and we don't know if he missed, like, if that whole area is a non-traversable because of what the site said, then I think it's fair to say that this one is also not right, even though it looks right. It sounds right to me. It's definitely a contradiction. Well, it's not a contradiction in that it can't have happened, but it's that there's no reason to believe this is what happened. It all goes dark, and then a huge bang happens. To assume not only that that was from the gun he's holding, but also that he was trying to shoot the person in front of him and shot behind him 120 degrees this way. All of that is completely off-the-wall ridiculous and didn't happen. Right? Well, not all of it didn't happen, but there's no reason to believe that all of that happened, which is why I thought it felt as a fair contradiction. But if this didn't work, then the sound shouldn't, because that's saying the same point. We didn't see him shoot, we don't have, so that we can't tie the audio to his gun. We didn't see a muzzle flash or anything to indicate visually that the gun was fired, and similarly, we can't tie this sound to the gunshot. That's the same contradiction, unequivocally, right? We didn't see the gun go off, is what's being said by this, if you were to pick the sound or the sight here. So those, if one doesn't work, the other can't. That's just common sense, I think. Now, we have laughter, and the attacker let out a laugh. I think there's no way to know that that's the attacker, right? Because our eyes are closed? And also we didn't see who attacked us from behind? That's 2 strikes for how do you know it's the attacker? You know, maybe a reasonable guess, but we don't know. So I'll put that one down as a 50-50 myself. Now it's starting well with the sight stuff. My father tried to shoot his attacker, but he missed and the attacker let out a laugh. Now, the grape juice, the portrait, and the walking and the floor, don't do that. Again, you could argue him pointing the gun here, it looks like he's going to try and shoot someone, but that someone we don't know for a fact to be the one who stabbed him. It could be some other person who looks like Dirk and walked up with blood, you know, but I would say it's fair to call that one unlikely, maybe even impossible. And going back to statement 3, I had meant to put this one as unlikely also, because statement 3, we hear Dirk's voice with the Dirk-like figure. So this is another situation where the way they're doing things is weird. When we first saw this, everyone was all like, what? This is a person without a face. How bizarre. We're dealing with a monster here or something? So everyone's just, from what I can tell, everyone has just admitted this isn't Dirk, but some, like, ghost. And yet we're still putting this on Dirk for some reason. Again, being that it's a video game and we have evidence, my best assumption is that this is someone using this information to disguise themselves as Dirk for the purpose of fabricating the seance. Of course, I can't present any evidence, and I don't know how to say that in the game. I also don't know if I were to, because what it feels to me like they want me to say here is somehow, I don't know which point it would be or which sensation, I guess sight. The sight of the Dirk-like figure, but on which point I can't say. They want me to say, we don't know for sure that that's Dirk because we can't see the face clearly. Because we know there's a history of the seance visions in this game having information that is out of focus, and then Rafa has to, like, you know, get more in touch with the person's spirit or whatever to specifically ask them, can you hone in on that detail, please? Which is what I would assume is going on here, that we don't, like, this is someone else wearing Dirk's outfit and everything, and they're doing it to frame Dirk, but Inga is somehow willfully or otherwise blocking out the actual facial details, and so we have to ask them to be honed. I would assume that's the thing that makes the most sense to me, except everyone reacted all weirdly like, what's going on here? This is a faceless demon? And I thought they, like, lived in this country and knew how the seances worked, but they didn't always show details accurately up front. So now I'm questioning myself, and I'm like, well, is this a completely different phenomenon from the out-of-focus torches in the last... the out-of-focus lanterns in Maya's case? Is this not that they just have yet to hone the face, but it actually is someone using some kind of, like, I don't know, face-blurring technology on themselves just to frame Dirk? And that seems ridiculous to me. It seems like it probably is just that it's out of focus, but if that's the case, I don't know how I'm supposed to ask for them to clarify it. Because there's no button anywhere that says that. So I have to assume that's just going to come later, like 2 or 3 solves down the line. They're going to be like, oh, by the way, Rafa, can you ask him to hone in on the killer's face? And she's going to be like, oh yeah, sure, why didn't you say so? And then it's going to just obviously not be Dirk or whatever. Or it is going to obviously be Dirk, and then we'll have, you know, another set of circumstances to consider. So as I said before, I'm definitely going to lose on this part, and it's probably going to take me even a few more lives beyond that. I'm going to have to, like, go through my health bar a few times before I get this, even this first one, but probably the whole seance vision is going to take, like, 5 lives. The only thing... So I don't even have one that is a seems fair to me. The only one that was a seems fair was the explosion and or the sight on this, but there's just no way that if they didn't like me saying we didn't see the gunshot, so we don't know what happened, there's just no way that the explosion would then work, right? That just doesn't make any sense. Even for how little I've understood this game's logic in certain places. That is patently the same point. No one could... There's no one... there's just no one who would say that's a different point, right? We didn't see the gunshot. We can't know that the sound was a gunshot. It's the same point. The ultimate solve of that is we don't know that this statement is what happened, which is why it seemed the most contradictory to me. So retracing all the ones that I didn't mark as impossible, because even though I marked it impossible, I'm not saying for sure that they cannot possibly be it. I'm saying nigh impossible. There we go. I fixed that. It could well be still something I'm missing even through all this, right? I feel like somewhere in all of what I've looked at, I've hit upon the thing they want me to do, but I don't have the foggiest idea which one to prove. But going back through all the ones I didn't mark as nigh impossible. He was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother. I think it's fair to say, from a human perspective, that he is not doing both at the same time. But no, now that I think about it, what I was saying before about maybe the English didn't have enough space, there's clearly, like, room for, like, 2 or 3 more words, and it would have been, if it was their intention to say he drank grape juice and then looked at the Holy Mother, there's room to say that. He was drinking grape juice, then stopped and gazed upon the picture of the Holy Mother. There's room to say that. So, to me, the fact that they've said it this way actually brings this up to a seems fair to me. I mean, that is literally a contradiction in the purest sense. That just isn't what's happening, right? Animation and game design are hard, right? Why would anyone spend the considerable amount of time and effort the way they did to have both the camera and his hand swing down and linger on this shot of him holding it and then letting go at the end, right? Fingers letting go of it as at the exact moment he turns, right? It's like they're clearly trying to line out. These are 2 separate things. I obviously have no idea why that would have anything to do with the case, but you usually don't before it happens. But to describe it as he was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother is just not even close to true. But do I put that on the visual of the grape juice? Do I put that on the visual of the Holy Mother from here? Or do I put that on the visual of the Holy Mother when he goes over here to look at it? I wouldn't be able to say. Sorry, it shouldn't go on sour there. It should go... That should be these. Side of the grape juice and the portrait. The reason I'm hesitant to pick that one, even though that seems like a fair contradiction, well, one of the reasons I'm hesitant is because there are several points at which he is looking at the Holy Mother and not drinking. So it seems like if they wanted you to get that contradiction, they would have had it be one clear point where he looks at the Holy Mother without drinking, but there are at least 2 that I see. So no more drink, we look right at the Holy Mother, and then we walk up and look at it closer. Both of those I would describe as gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother, but the fact that it happens twice suggests to me that they don't want me to push it there, because why would they design it like that? Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, next to the next unlikely one. He'd been waiting vigilantly when he suddenly heard Dirk's voice. Now, we've already said from the very first case, the tutorial where they introduced us to this mechanic, it was said boy's voice, didn't say Albie. So we know for a fact, a cold, hard fact, that man's voice not lining up with Dirk's voice cannot be the contradiction. That's just how they describe it. It's a man's voice. The reason I thought to put Dirk's voice against the Dirk-like figure is it's the only mention of Dirk's name during all this, right? So if disproving this insight is supposed to prove that Dirk wasn't here. This is the only mention of Dirk. She doesn't even say when she sees the attacker. It's his attacker. It's not Dirk, right? She just says he heard Dirk's voice and then he was stabbed. So it doesn't... She's not even saying Dirk is the killer, so I don't understand what I'm supposed to disprove. For one thing... Sorry, this is such a train wreck. So this is the only way I could think to say we don't know for sure that this faceless figure is Dirk. Which is what I thought everyone else said already, so it seems not worth repeating. And if ever there were a way to say, are we sure that's Dirk? I'm almost certain it wouldn't be matching the words Dirk's voice with the visual of this faceless Dirk figure. But I don't have the guts to call that a red just yet. It has to be the mist thing, right? It just has to be, because the whole point of the insight portion is that Rafa's making some kind of assumption based on the visuals that is either not supported by the visuals because there's a contradiction, or not supported because she's extrapolating. And we have to be like, well, slow down. How do we know this thing you're saying happened just from a sound? That sound could mean one of a few things, right? But if the sight didn't do it, then the sound won't. Again, it's not as though we're saying Inga knows the difference between an explosion and a gunshot, because if we were saying that, then it wouldn't say man's voice, it would say Dirk's voice. Or whoever else's voice. But there's also the matter of the laughter, which we also can't prove is from the attacker. We have no idea who it could be from. Could be from Inga. Could be from Maya. Could be from a rogue hyena that's just like in the rafters. Like, there's nothing to prove that it's the attacker. So that's just well, again, it's not a direct contradiction, but hey, we're extrapolating a bit there. We should slow down. I've got this nasty nagging feeling that they do want me to hit the sound, and that's somehow more right than the sight. But I cannot for the life of me understand how. But I'm again in the situation like with the lantern one, where I could just use the story mode to have it tell me, or use the consult to at least get a sense of which statement is wrong. I'm reasonably confident it's the final one. But if it's something I haven't thought of yet, then I'm robbing myself of the puzzle by doing that. But it's already been, a good 24 hours. Well, when I stopped playing at like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. yesterday, so it's 11 in the morning now. 18 hours I've been on this, which is it was only like an hour and a half in the Lanterns one. But at some point I have to cut my losses and say, is it worth spending like a good 20 hours of my life dedicated to thinking about this, when it turns out that they just wanted me to hit the darkness a frame later or whatever? Well, no. There's no way that it was that I was supposed to hit the darkness a moment later, because that would never have made it past playtesting if it was that. That's so blatantly not right. There's a slim chance that they wanted me to do the sound instead, and somehow that makes more sense for saying you don't know that he missed, or even tried to shoot. I would say neither the sound nor the sight proves that, so both of them should be usable. Which is why I'm saying if the sight didn't work, the sound shouldn't. I know I'm repeating myself a hell of a lot here, sorry. It's because I'm trying to talk through my thought process, and this game is just, my brain is just going in circles here. I just keep coming back to the same points that tells me I don't know what's going on. I'm so tempted to just hit the explosion and try it, because like the past 5 times in this game I've said there's no way it could be that, that's ridiculous. Like with the drone, and like with telling Rafa to come back even though she just passed out and hasn't given any indication she's ready to try again. Like with both of those times, I think it's just me in the game interpreting events differently. Events and the meaning of words and stuff. The second I actually hit a game over here and it gives me some awful ending where all 3 of them are executed and then Trucy gets gunned down in the street and her chopped up limbs are mailed to Phoenix right before his death, I will just start going ham and just trying all my ideas. But while I've still got the faintest shred of dignity here with 1 health, I may as well try and not get a game over on, the most pivotal and important case of the game. But then again, why? Why would anyone writing this portion describe it as drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother? If the visuals so clearly indicate him drinking, doesn't smell it anymore, stops tasting it, slows down to show him letting go of it, and then looks at the Holy Mother. Like, you know what I mean? But it could be that, it could be the laughter, I don't know. And now I'm rethinking this. He'd been waiting vigilantly. Why is he just to get up and start wandering around if he's expecting someone from the doorway behind him, And if he suddenly heard Dirk's voice, why didn't he turn around? I suppose, even if we are operating under the weird rule set that, for whatever reason, the victim cannot tell, doesn't remember anyone's name in the afterlife, and so can't tell us if it was Dirk's voice or not. Even though we've taken that as fact from the first one, there might be room there to say, you're extrapolating and saying it's Dirk's voice. We don't know that for sure. That is something that you wouldn't know from just looking at this. So I suppose I can put man's voice as a 50-50 there. Not unlike the gunshot, you are assuming it's Dirk's voice because you hear a man's voice, and we found Dirk there. But we do not see him at that point. We actually don't see him ever. We see someone who looks a bit like him but has a blurred out face, which Dirk famously does not. So the only reason you're assuming it's Dirk's voice is because we see a Dirk-like figure and we found him on the scene of the crime at the time, but none of that is supported by what we see here. It's just a man's voice. And if it were someone other than Dirk, it would explain why he didn't feel the need to turn around and face him. I think part of why I sometimes find these seance portions frustrating, although it's an exceedingly cool new mechanic, is in normal testimony, there's a bit of this, but mostly it's pretty fair that you have to find something that contradicts what they're saying. Whereas with the no, but even here it says search for a contradictory sensation. So it's not even saying, even though we're supposed to knock holes in her insight, so to speak, by finding something that we see here that does not match what she says. So man's voice is not a contradiction of that, actually. I take that back. Even if we could extrapolate and say, even if we could say you're extrapolating by saying that's Dirk's voice, that's a guess. That's not a contradiction. That's, hey, this is something we should look into. And they don't care for that around here. What we have to do is find something that specifically negates what has been said. Not search for something that seems a little at odds with the insight. Search for a contradictory sensation. It has to specifically cancel out what she has said. It can't just be, that's a little odd that you assumed that. So if thinking about it from that perspective, of course the gunshot wouldn't work, because it does not specifically cancel out what she said. And nor does the attacker let out a laugh. That's a guess from her part, but for me to say you don't know it was the attacker is a guess on my part. The only thing we have that specifically contradicts what she says is her looking at the photograph without drinking.
Objection!
But that isn't it. It's kind of hard to say, especially when you put me on the spot like this. Oh god, there's no stupid bad ending here. That would have been so miserable. Alright, so at this point, let's just go trying every theory I could have. Because we know it's not the fact that he wasn't drinking grape juice at the time. So let's have the explosion.
Objection!
Weren't that? Attacker let out a laugh. Let's try that. How do you know that was the attacker? Because you do. Suddenly heard Dirk's voice? Well, it just says man's voice. How would you say it was Dirk's? Oh, that was it? There seems to be an inconsistency in your interpretation. I cannot wait to see where he's going with this. Your benevolence, there seems to be an inconsistency in your interpretation. An inconsistency? Where? Minister Inga is far too relaxed for what was supposedly about to take place. When he heard the voice you claim is Dirk's, he didn't seem the least bit alarmed. He just kept looking at the picture of the founder. So, like, yeah, I found that, I discovered that. How was I supposed to know picking man's voice was what does that? Hang on just 1 minute. Because if it were up to me, I would say... Sorry, I forgot what point I just pushed. Because to me...
Objection!
To me, sight should work there too. Because you would think when he hears the man's voice, he should turn around, right? That's quite bizarre. I get what they're saying here. And the irritating bit is that that was one of the things I had thought about, right? So it's not as though I didn't make the solve. It's that the problem is that's like 6 down on my list of important contradictions. And it's not a contradiction. That seems a little odd, right? That he's just casually walking over there and looking at the painting while hearing Dirk's voice. But to argue that the only thing that proves that is putting the man's voice on suddenly he heard Dirk's voice, as opposed to, say, the next moment he was stabbed in the back and collapsed, I feel like I should be able to put the visuals here, because clearly it wasn't the next moment, it was 9 seconds later, which is the contradiction they wanted me to get to. So, like, I don't know if it's just a translation thing or what, but that, like, there are, like, 5 different ways to say what the solve they wanted, and there are, like, 6 solves that make more sense than what they wanted. So, like, everything about this it doesn't make, like, not a bit of it. If I had 10 weeks to pour over this and rank them, in which one I think is the most important contradiction, rank all of these 74 or whatever, I would never have come up with that as anywhere in the top 10. Well, clearly it was in the top 10 because it was like the 8th one I tried or whatever. It cooks my noodle how you would have this thing where it's supposed to be so precise and you have to be so concerned about the details, and they just include a bunch of bullshit details like he was drinking grape juice while gazing upon the picture of the Holy Mother, a blatant contradiction that they crash zoom on, and it's not it. Like, I don't feel like it's splitting hairs to say this game posits a lot of red herrings that it seems to not be aware of itself. Again, it's just like the whole thing in the magician case, the second case in the game, where they go out of their way. Like, they mention it like 4 or 5 times. They're like, the thing was cranked all the way up. Can't be cranked down by 2 people. By 1 person. You need 2 people. Like, she couldn't possibly have done it herself. Athena tries it herself on camera. And you're not allowed to use that to prove why she couldn't have used it. Well, I mean, you are only like 2 sentences after it seems appropriate. And if the contradiction I was supposed to find was something as qualitative and not hard factual as he seems a bit relaxed for what is going on here, I agree, that's weird. You know what? You know what else is weird? His whole fucking outfit and his beard. It's weirder than mine. He's a weird dude. I don't know, maybe he's just acting weird. It's Ace Attorney, everyone's weird. That seemed, in my mind, that is anywhere above the importance of, we didn't see a gunshot, you can't say that's what happened. Especially as we know with evidence that there's a bullet found elsewhere, implying that this is not where this gunshot took place. And that we don't know the laugh came from the attacker. Like, oh, wow, that's... Anyway, it's never mind. It's not worth carrying on. It's not worth carrying on complaining about it. I get that, but it just, in my mind, that's like emblematic of one of the big problems I've come up against over and over in this game. The scenes just don't feel tightly designed enough that there could only be one solution. But the thing that absolutely drives me up like crazy about it is, clearly I'm completely wrong, because Capcom is not a tiny company, right? And they had a QA department that all played it and thought it was fine. Otherwise they wouldn't have sold it. So every time one of these things happens, I feel like I have to keep going back over it and saying, well, what is it about each of the things that I found that is so blatantly, completely brain-dead wrong that no one on the QA team would have ever even considered my solution to it? And there's no way in frozen hell that any of these other things could be it, right? Like, I don't mean to harp on the problem, but if you're going to make it so that there's just the one solution, it has to be the only solution, right? Is that not fair to ask? Oh, God, okay, sorry. I think you can cut the majority of this, me, editing. Anyway, where were we? We did originally heard Dirk's voice.
Objection!
He seems pretty calm for that. Your benevolence, there seems to be an inconsistency in your interpretation. An inconsistency? Where? Ministering goes far too relaxed for what was supposedly about to take place. When he heard the voice you claim is Dirk's, he didn't seem the least bit alarmed. He just kept looking at the picture of the founder. That's strange, right? He was waiting for Dirk to arrive with the Founder's Orb. But when he heard that voice, he didn't even turn to look. Don't you think he would have been worried about being attacked from behind? Then whose voice was it? Well, that's a good question. It was like someone whose presence wouldn't have alarmed him, i.e. one of his secret police or something. Someone like a friend. Objection! But there was no third party at the scene of the crime. Now you seem to have caught on. Therefore, the voice can only have belonged to Dirk. The voice of a third party who wasn't there in the tomb. Well, he's got his phone. Apollo, don't we have something that could reveal the owner of the mystery voice? You know, I think we do. Something that Inga had while he was waiting for Dirk. With it, we just might be able to figure out whose voice it was. See, like, none of that needed to be said for me to get that they heard it through a phone, right? The voice of a third party who wasn't there in the tomb is all that needed to be there, but then for that other point where I had to make this huge leap with 5 other things wrong with it, immediately after that, smash cut to the next solve they're asking me for, they talk about it for like 3 sentences of how could someone who wasn't in the tomb have been hurt? And do we have any evidence? Maybe we should check the court record. Like, it's not necessary. I know I was a complete and total utter dumbass on the last point, but now you're treating me like an infant. I believe we can identify the male voice Mr. Inga heard with this. Take that. That's my father's... I know this must be hard for you. Could you please look at this photo? There's something here that can point us toward the identity of the voice. That'd be the mobile phone. This is the real source of the Mayan's voice. I don't understand why we didn't trace all the IDs when we found the phone, if I'm honest. Like Emma said, he made a number of calls, but we didn't bother to check who they were from, also? So weird. It's so weird. A cell phone. Right. I believe that the voice... I'm sorry. I know when I get annoyed about one thing, I just start going off on every little thing. I know that's a thing I do. I'm sorry. Right. I believe that the voice the minister heard was of a call on this cell phone. I see. Well, that certainly makes sense. What is your eminence's view on the matter? I concede the possibility. Glad you decided to participate. Then it seems I must refine my vision. Subordinate's voice. And you're going to refine your insights to go along? It appears that the voice belonged to one of my father's subordinates. Why do you suppose he was talking to one of them, then? My father had members of the secret police positioned throughout the palace. They were supposed to contact him as soon as they saw Dirk and the rest of you. Oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Your benevolence, I believe you have an insight to revise. I know, Barbed Head. Don't presume to tell me how to do my duty. Around 3 p.m. Sorry, he'd been waiting. Okay, sorry. My father then took a call from a subordinate at the palace. Did any of the rest of that change? So the voice was coming from the phone. That's good to know. But there might have been other sounds coming from the phone. Sounds that could be clues. Let's take another look at Rafa's insights, then really focus on the various sensations. Okay, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. I don't. But yes, let's pop over to the call and see if there's any other sounds we hear. Lion's roar. Okay. Dog's bark. So that'll be... That's? Well, whatever the case, it means they're in the bazaar. So the subordinate wasn't at the palace, we can say, right? Subordinate was not at the palace because you would not hear a warbot there.
Objection!
And that was a completely reasonable... That was reasonable! That was so reasonable, that one they just asked me to make. It was a deduction that I had to make based on my understanding of the world as they've explained it thus far with the warbot and how rare it is and how finding one of the bazaar alone was a rarity. So that lion's roar sound has to imply a bazaar. So it implies they weren't in the palace. That's an awesome contradiction. That's so fun! That tests my understanding of the world. It tests my understanding of the seance visions. It tests my understanding of the scene in the tomb. That was a fun contradiction. Like it's just. I'm sorry. I know I'm like butchering the pace of this awesome final case, but it bounces back and forth between being something that I find so unreasonable, peppered with flaws, to being something so perfectly designed. I mean, that last one was the perfect contradiction. If you haven't played this game, by the way, you should just go play through it by yourself, because I've got a bad feeling I'm about to ruin the entire rest of this case. Don't let me ruin that for you. Go play it yourself and then enjoy it like a normal human, because I don't seem to be capable of being a normal human right now. I hate to break it to you, Your Benevolence, but you misinterpreted something again. What do you mean? Again? Well, it means once more. Smooth move, Apollo. I think you just hurt her feelings. She may put on a brave face, but she feels more than she lets on. You just told me to shout at her like 5 in-game minutes ago. You're all like, you have to be stern with aggressive people like her. Let me rephrase that, Your Benevolence. Your interpretation of your father's phone call to his subordinates at the palace is inconsistent with his final memory. What do you mean by that? A lion's roar could be heard over the phone. Don't you find that strange? You claim the call was with someone at the palace. But let me ask you, do you keep lions there? No. The only animals at the palace are little birdies and my pet frog. That's adorable. She has a pet frog. Wait, that giant one in front of the minister's house is her pet? That was an actual frog? I thought it was another statue. Besides, there aren't any lions in Khura'In. We don't even have any zoos. A rather sad state of affairs, I'm afraid. Well, I remember hearing a sound like that. The lion roar coming from the phone is actually from something hanging out in the bazaar. Isn't that the cry of the warbot over in the bazaar? Your Benevolence, do you think you can clarify the voice for me? Very well. I will now attempt to further refine my vision. Warbot's cry. What's this? Just as I suspected, it was the call of a warbot. That means the subordinate Minister Inga was talking to was in the bazaar, not the palace. But why is it important where the call came from? Maybe implies it wasn't one of his secret police, I guess? What significance could it have? She's right. Is it important to know where the call was made from? It's probably pretty important. Oh, I shouldn't have done that without thinking about that, because they might damage my health for this. Not that that matters so much at this point. It's actually very important. Knowing that the person on the other end was at the bazaar means that the loud explosion might not have been the sound of a gunshot. Oh, right, okay. He could have still been on the phone at that point. I hadn't considered that. But I can think of no other item that makes such a noise in the area. Oh, well. The dragon snot snaps. Okay, go ahead, Apollo. Tell her. Tell Ray for the real source of that sound. I'll do. Well, Hornhead, I'm waiting. What was the true source of that explosive sound? That would be the dragon snot snap.
Take that!
Take that. Take that! Sorry. What is that? It's all but Urga'id's statement. In it, he claims that Dat's a rebel threw a firecracker at him while he was at the bazaar. Then... Yes, the sound heard over the phone was a firecracker exploding.
Objection!
Objection. And yet, a bullet was found at the scene of the crime. A bullet fired from Minister Inga's gun. How do you explain that? Well, we don't know whether it was fired during the course of the crime, right? Or do you have evidence that proves when the pistol was discharged? No, I have none. Wait a second. If that loud bang was a firecracker, then could that laugh at the end have been... No! It can't be! Oh, it can. And it is. The laugh came from none other than... the Joker who got a kick out of startling Albie with his dragon snot snaps. That happy-go-lucky Dat's a rebel! What?! Someone should really put a leash on that guy. I don't see how that shakes things up all that much, I guess, but... I shudder to think how one man can be the cause of so much trouble. Hey there, AJ! PW! You can thank me later! He's just in the gallery. No one asked for your commentary, Mr. Rebel. Your benevolence. Do you need to revise your insight? It would appear so. I guess it's not that that point necessarily is important, but... in theory, that when she refines that one, we might find something else gets improved as well. The true source of that loud bang was the firecracker Dats threw, and that final laugh belonged to none other than Dats himself. Well, this changes everything. Let's go over the details of Rafa's insight again. Okay. I think I've got this down now. Time to find another inconsistency. I don't really see how it changes everything. But we got another point, and I'm just going to start by just watching the video to see what has changed. It hasn't changed the visuals, actually, at all. It's only changed the insights. And the ones that updated were... My father then took a call from a subordinate at the bazaar. The true source of that loud bang was a firecracker Dats threw, and the final laugh belonged to none other than Dats himself. They actually fully added that as a point, which makes it seem like that's what I'm supposed to hit, but... Hang on a minute. Have his boots always been bloody like that? No, sorry, they're not bloody, that's just part of the design. I actually don't see how this changes anything. True source of that loud bang was a firecracker Dats threw, and that final laugh belonged to none other than Dats himself. This was... So... This was an insight refined. She previously said... he took a call from someone in the palace. So it first said he heard Dirk's voice behind him. Then we said he seems awfully calm for hearing Dirk behind him, and then it turned out it was a phone call. And so we said he took a call from a subordinate at the palace. Then we said, well, the warbot happens, so that it's actually a call from a subordinate at the bazaar. At that same point, since we learned about the situation at the bazaar, he missed the gunshot, got changed to... The true source of that loud bang was a firecracker Dats threw, so he didn't fire the gun at all, is what we're saying. At least from what we see here. But then they fully went out as far as adding, the final laugh belonged to none other than Dats himself. And I don't really understand... Oh, hold on a minute. I see. Sorry, I assumed because this point just got added, that was the one we're supposed to do the contradiction on, because that's usually how it is. But in fact, what that does is disprove that it was 3 p.m., because we know that to have happened at 2 p.m. Well, around, a fair hour before that anyway. So I should be able to put the explosion or the laughter on this one to say, well, it wasn't 3 p.m. then, right? That's neat. I like that a lot. as a contradiction. But we do specifically have a thing saying the final laugh came from Dats himself. Well, either the explosion or the laughter should work anyway. Objection! Oh, really? Oh, never mind. No, it is working. Okay, sorry. I thought the music didn't stop, so I was like, wait a minute, what? Did the murder really happen at 3 p.m.? I mean, if the laugh is coming from the phone, then is it something Minister Inga would have really heard at 3 p.m.? The call came from the bazaar. A place where such sounds as laughter can be heard at any time. Even if that was Dats, he could very well have been laughing like a fool at 3 p.m. Sorry, the explosion makes more sense. Yeah, you have a point there. Hornhead, I'd advise you to think again, carefully. I think you're getting warmer, but you're still a little off. Sorry, it was the explosion, is more what I meant. Is what I meant to pick. I assumed both of them, because the explosion and the laughter happened at the same time, that would be fine. But yeah, I got it, the explosion. I got it. Oh, actually, no, maybe the dog makes more sense. Well, the dog or the explosion. Yeah, the dog, no, I guess that's the dog. But see, that was great. I love that they didn't damage me for that, because I was on the right solve, which is that the sound we heard implies a different time, but that was a very fair point of them to not damage you for it, because as a player, I would assume that Apollo has the context to say, the fact that we heard the dog, the gunshot, the dragon snot snap, and the laughter all at once sets the scene. But what they've done there is excellent. Because what they've done is, if you hadn't worked out the dog portion of that yet, they don't give you that without figuring out the dog part. But they don't punish you by saying your whole case has no relevance. They're saying, well, yes, but give more information on how, because that, he was setting off those firecrackers all over, he was laughing all over. Those things are, could all happen in other places. And I suppose the dog's bark too, but that's a little more concrete since we actually have... Oh, never mind, no, it's supposed to be the explosion. Oh, damn it. I just talked for like 2 minutes about how they did that really well, and then they turned it around on me. Sorry, the explosion. Of course, he could laugh at any time and he could set off the firecrackers at any time, and he did. But unless I'm way off, I'm pretty sure what they're asking me to do here is the explosion.
Objection!
Yeah, okay. But it's the same. The dog, the bang, dog bark, laughter is all adding up to that same scene. So, damn it, I really thought it was gonna be the dog at that point, because the dog is the least. It doesn't matter. It just, none of it matters. Okay, it doesn't matter. Your benevolence is a glaring problem with insight. There is. You say that the murder happened at around 3 p.m., which is right around the time my client arrived on the scene. However, now that we know what the source of the loud bang is, your insight conflicts with a certain piece of evidence. Actually, that is a little weird that they did it that way. If we're saying that laugh belonged to Dats, sure, Dats may laugh like a fool at around 3 p.m., but he wasn't at the bazaar at 3 p.m. at the same time as his firecracker explosion. So really, the laugh should have probably... I appreciate that they didn't outright just say you're 100% wrong. They went, let's not damage you, but you're getting warm. That's a reasonable thing to start with. But now that I know that the dog isn't going to work, actually it feels like both of those should have worked. So, but that's a much more minor offense than some of the things we've seen today. Your insight conflicts with a certain piece of evidence. I suppose I have to ask the obvious here. What evidence conflicts with the claim that the murder occurred at 3 p.m.? That would be this one, Your Majesty. Take that! I'll be your guide's statement again. Yes, because to summarize what he said, at around 2 p.m., Shadow was surprised by a firecracker and barked a lot and ran into the palace courtyard. Around 2 p.m.? That's right. 2 p.m., not 3 p.m. Ah! Are you suggesting... I think you know where I'm going with this. That's his laugh, the cry of the warbod, and the bang of the firecracker, and the dog were all heard right before Minister Inga's death. Thanks to Albie's statement, we can put a definitive timestamp on all of these sounds. Therefore, well, we can put an Albie-fied statement on all these sounds. What this vision shows is that it is extremely likely that the deceit's final moments were at 2 rather than 3 as we'd originally thought. Dare I ask? It means the murder took place a full hour before Dirk entered the tomb. How can this be? Are you saying that I, the very personification of the law, have been mistaken? No, I'm saying you're a lying bastard. Now you see why justice will always prevail. Anyway, that's all for this episode of Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. Yeah, that's a bit weird. If we're saying Dats could laugh at any time, he had a whole plethora of firecrackers, so there's no way to say he couldn't have fired a firecracker off at 3 p.m. I thought the point of what they were doing there was for the dog, because we could prove that was Shadow's bark in particular, because dog barks sound different than one another. And so we could prove Shadow was there at that time, and that was the most concrete thing. But then it turned out that the dog wasn't even a part of it, and they just wanted me to say the explosion instead of the laughter, both of which he could do at any time. So actually, not on reflection, that's really weird that they did that like that instead of just giving it 2 for the laughter. Because if you picked the laughter, it's because you know Dats was there and did the firecracker at 2 p.m., right? You clearly would have looked at this statement if you did the laughter. So actually, looking back on that, I don't know why they made you go back. All that did was make me second guess myself, but I should have just tried the explosion anyway. Because it does specifically say, Das leapt out of a manhole, got yelled at by a dog and a warbot, and then threw a firecracker. So picking the dog or the explosion, both of them point to, I'm saying, the situation of this statement is the important thing. So all 3 should have worked, really. But I get the argument that the firecracker is the more distinctive thing than a dog, because there could have been another dog at the bazaar, who knows? Even though, you'd be able to tell it was Shadow. Because the chance of another dog that's sounding exactly like it coming through precisely an hour after he did is ridiculous, to say the least. About as ridiculous as Dats going back there, I guess I'd say, in an hour after being chased off by the police. Actually, it says the police came and detained him, so I don't know how he could have been back in an hour to laugh there, as Rafa just said, but whatever. Again, I'm not trying to tarnish anyone's view of this game with all my complaints. I'm just trying to explain why, for me, it is like an endlessly frustrating experience to go through and have this one that I'm stuck on for 18 hours thinking about. It turns out it's a solution that I came up with and then dismissed out of hand because there were 6 better ones, I thought. And then I get to the next one and it's a perfectly reasonable thing they asked me to do. And then I get to the next one and it's a quasi-reasonable thing to do. Like, consistency feels all over the place to me personally. But at least I finally made it through this godforsaken episode. The next video on the channel is going to be some more Celeste, after which will be some more of this. I don't have a strong sense of how much left we have in this court case, but I do still presume it is the final one, as we'll be sort of absolving Dirk and kind of tying up a bunch of loose ends. Is it my imagination, or are her eyebrows kind of like the same color as Amara's hair? Or are they supposed to be gray because she's old, maybe? Anyway, sorry for being a miserable crotchety curmudgeon. That's all for now. Thank you so very much for coming, and hopefully I'll see you around. Admiral's gonna be out of here now. Peace! And is willing to make some strides in that direction. Yes. Is he a bit stuffy and arrogant? Yes. I think that's reasonable. Fair. Claudia Cuddly, I mean, getting to part of the whole ocean and walk around down there and stuff is awesome. It could be super fun. Do I think this guy would have the time or drive